It was supposed to be a momentous day in Disney's Animal Kingdom where the kids' TV sensation Bluey arrived in Walt Disney World for the first time, but virtual queues and overcrowding made this a logistical nightmare. And we're going to talk about it today on That Park Place. Vash, Bluey, as you can see here from this article from Disney Dining, is causing chaos at Animal Kingdom. Not chaos, not typically a word that you associate with the Healer family. Right?
No, not typically. That is for sure.
Horrible chaos. Like, oh, they're playing and it's gotten out of control. But like, this is causing chaos. Go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Well, no, I mean, and who could have predicted this, Marvin? Oh, wait, I think we did actually some months ago when they actually officially announced this. And we were all like, Animal Kingdom, probably the right park for this because obviously, you know, that park only has like, what, 6 operational rides at the moment. However, the issue is where they were putting it. You know, you're going to have some supply constraints there, and it looks like people, unfortunately, are experiencing that firsthand.
Well, this article here from Disney Dining by Erica Lauren says Bluey's Wild World opened at Disney's Animal Kingdom this morning, and the virtual queue situation played out exactly the way anyone who's lived through a major Walt Disney World opening day knew it would. Well, not every major Walt Disney World opening. We're going to talk about that in our Mandalorian segment because there were some things going on there. But the 7 a.m. drop filled in seconds, not minutes, seconds. Families with alarms set, apps open, and parties pre-selected found themselves staring at an unavailable screen before they had any real chance to react, Ash.
It was wild. It looks like 2 days in a row now, the same thing has occurred in which these virtual queues go live, one at 7 a.m. and then one at 10 a.m. and they are immediately all absorbed by the guests who are actually there, which is a little bit surprising given the capacity limitations of Animal Kingdom overall. But I mean, we haven't really seen this since probably like Rise of Resistance or some of those other big openings of attractions in years past. Maybe Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, for example, over there in Epcot. I mean, this is a big deal, and I don't know if it necessarily says something about the demand as much as it says something about the supply, but huge news indeed.
Well, we knew it was going to be a big demand. Bluey is the biggest thing in kids' entertainment right now. And the fact that Bluey is going to have a live experience like this, it was always going to draw massive crowds. How many of the people, Vash, how many of the parties do you think that were filling up these time slots and making it so that a lot of these families weren't able to go? How many of them were adults without children, do you think?
Oh boy. Well, based on the photos that I have seen, thankfully, it looks like there were plenty of families with children who were actually able to make it in. But I would suspect, I mean, you're probably talking about at least 20%, I would say, at least, looking to sign in to those virtual queues and actually getting in without children. Now, it's very interesting, Marvin, because we saw massive demand actually at Disneyland when that Bluey celebration actually took place over there in the Fantasyland Theater. That's like a real big show right there. It lasts for about anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes, which is actually a pretty long time for something like this. So to stage this event here was an interesting choice for sure because of, well, there's not really a large-scale venue like the one offered at the Fantasyland Theater over there at Disneyland. And so it looks like the show itself has taken a little bit of a different tact with this with this kind of entertainment. But man, I think it would be much better served, Marvin, if it just had a theater, which unfortunately doesn't exist right now at Animal Kingdom.
Absolutely. Well, you look at this, what happened at 7 a.m., Vash? The 7 a.m. virtual queue drop is the more accessible of the 2 daily windows because guests don't need to be inside Animal Kingdom to join. Valid theme park admission and, where applicable, a park reservation are the only requirements. That low barrier, combined with an enormous pool of Bluey families hitting the app simultaneously, produced an instant sellout consistent with other high-demand openings at Walt Disney World. The demand for Bluey's Wild World has been building since the experience was announced, obviously. But what does the actual virtual queue cover? The Bluey's Wild World virtual queue is not just a boarding pass for a single show. It covers the full Rafiki's Planet Watch experience, which includes the Wildlife Express train from Harambe Station, Bluey's Wild World at Conservation Station, Jumping Junction, and the Animal Care experiences. Guests cannot board the Wildlife Express train without a virtual queue return time when the system is active. No standby queue currently exists, and the virtual queue is the only way in. Disney has confirmed it will remain the case for the foreseeable future. Now, the 10 a.m. window, Vash, that is the second and final opportunity to secure a boarding group. 2 things differ here. You have to have valid park admission, just like the morning one, but you must be physically inside Animal Kingdom to join. So
Correct.
just being in the parking lot, at the resort, or at the gate does not qualify. You need to be through the gate and inside the park when the clock hits 10.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people were thinking, hey, maybe we have a better chance at the 10 a.m. showing because of that limitation that you have to actually be there in the park. Nay, they went almost just as fast as that 7 a.m. drop right there, which
Yeah,
I think really surprised people like Blog Mickey, for example. Good.
so it is fascinating to me, these 10 a.m. drops, because you see it, and this is both Disney and Universal. When you're actually in the park trying to get these drops, it is just a avalanche of reactions all around you, because
Absolutely.
you're getting the people that are going no, and the people are going, oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. So it's a whole big thing. Over here at allears.net, Vash, they said yikes, massive crowds hit new Disney's Animal Kingdom attraction. You see some of the crowds outside Conservation Station. Bluey's Wild World requires the virtual queue. They have a couple of other ones here. So here they are checking the checking your virtual queue to get onto the
Right.
train there. And then look at this is exactly what I said it was, Vash. I said the second you step off that train, you are in line.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It's
And that's
so
not
easily.
a short walk.
No. No, I mean, it's really tucked away back there, hidden back there. Now, I will say for the train, they did update the audio in order to reflect this new Blue experience. It was a nice touch. But when you actually disembark from that train, just like you said, Marvin, it is backed up forever and a half. And things get more confusing once you actually get inside. But, I mean, I saw people waiting outside for 10 minutes, maybe even longer, which
Right.
in the sun, with kids, that's very difficult for sure. But the entire wait itself could actually eclipse close to an hour or maybe even past that. So you're waiting quite a long time in order to see this very, intimate Blue experience.
So all ears here says, finally arriving at Bluey's Wild World, we immediately noticed that the virtual queue system seemed to be working well so far. The longest people were waiting outside the building was about the length of one show, which is about 14 minutes. When you're at the doors of the conservation station getting ready to go into the show, this is where you'll need to scan your park ticket to show your virtual queue reservation. So, okay, so you have to show it to get on the train and then show it again to get into conservation station, I guess? Just in
Yes,
case
yeah,
they
they
snuck along the tracks or something?
yeah. I guess it's like, okay, the first time you show the cast member, right, before the train, and that just, signifies that you are good for this time, your boarding group is good, all of that, then you can actually get on the train. But in order to scan that reservation and, well, make sure that you don't actually get in again, so that VQ is off, that's where you actually tap that at the station inside, right? Yeah, so that just redeems it. Then now you're moving on. So I think that's the process.
This is interesting here. It says, this is where you scan your park ticket, show your virtual queue reservation. That's when your virtual queue is considered redeemed. Keep that in mind when planning to head over to the show. However, when we stepped out of our show, we saw how long the line had gotten. We realized that it's possible we just got lucky being so early in the day, because they said they only waited 14 minutes. Vash, that ain't a 14-minute line.
No, not from there. I saw 10 minutes being posted with just the courtyard outside of Conservation Station, but when you have a line making it all the way back to the train, I don't think that's 14 minutes. I think it's a little bit longer right there, and that is added on to the 40 or 50 minutes that you might wait inside Conservation Station, which is also a very confusing process. And this is why I think Block Mickey characterized this as chaotic, because there's like a kind of a queue, then there's an on-deck station, and then there's actually the place in which you can actually experience this.
By the way, all of
show.
this stuff that's now a giant queue used to have activities and like things to learn about animals and things like that. Just wanted to point that out.
Yes, and it's worth pointing out right there, because I mean, a lot of that is lost, unfortunately, with this whole redo. And the place in which they're having this experience actually take place is a very kind of acoustically not great place to be, especially with kids and screaming and all of that. You've got a lot of reflectivity in those hard surfaces right there, and so it's a very not just a chaotic space people wise, but also a caustic space acoustically for the ear.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, All Ears is explaining you here. Once you're inside the building, you're held on one side of the room, sort of behind the show space, while the show is going on. We got there about 5 minutes before the show, before ours ended, and they took about 5 minutes to cycle people out of the show space and cycle new people in before starting the show again. Again, we learned soon after, though, that this began causing issues in the group after us as more and more people began to show up. They were waiting much longer than we did. Look at all that. That is a lot of people. It says there's only about 100 people watching each show, and in our first experience, kids were encouraged to come to the front to sit so they could really be involved in playing the 4 games: Magic, Asparagus, Copycat, Charades, Mom and Dad, and Keepy Uppy. And say hello to Bluey and Bingo. If you want to be closer to Bluey, you'll want to stay on the right side of the show. And if you want to be closer to Bingo, you want to be on the left. However, we then saw a change in how the show runs in front of our eyes. At our first, after our first reporter went in, our second reporter was in the show just after them and noticed that cast members had tape on the ground and asked everyone to stand behind the tape. And then once the game started, they invited the kids forward. So that's interesting. Spoke to someone in line told us it took them about an hour to get from the train to seeing the actual show. Not to mention, when you're held inside as the shows before you were going on, you can hear them, meaning that by the time you actually get to see the show itself, you've potentially heard the show 2 to 3 times. Oh, that's terrible.
Yep.
It's clear that this is still a work in progress. Cast members are figuring out what works best. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Vash. What were you saying?
No, there are these points which you can actually experience the show before you actually experience the show, right? Because there's this long kind of winding queue around the perimeter right there, as described in this article, and there's this kind of on-deck station and so forth. And then you actually see the show almost in the center of all this chaos right here, and it's honestly, I mean, why they chose this venue right here? Go ahead, please.
This is not a theater. It was never meant for this kind of thing. It was never meant to be a show. That's why people are hearing the show before they actually see the show. That's a disaster. Like, could you imagine if you heard The Untrainable Dragon before getting into the theater?
Yeah, that's no good. Don't like that. Yeah. Don't like it.
Nope, not at all.
This is not ideal.
So let's see some of these photos taken by Blog Mickey. We see here Bluey, I'm assuming, or not, the dad.
If you click on any one of those photos, you should have a slideshow.
Oh, okay, good. Here we go. All right, so this is the virtual queue system. All right, that's Conservation Station. I like the little Bluey sign they put up there. That's cute.
Right. And it kind of looks hand-painted as if the villagers actually did it themselves, which is nice.
Yeah. Just take these African villagers who are worried about like having water or taking time to paint Bluey on things.
Well,
here we go. Outside, there's the queue outside. And then we've got look at that. That is chaos to me.
Yeah. I mean,
even with the virtual
it is absolutely
queue.
Wild.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize it was this bad. Look at this. Queue. Show on deck, active show.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Madonna me.
Yeah, I mean, and if you come upon this, I mean, obviously those labels aren't going to be there. How do you even know where to actually go? I mean, I'm sure they funnel you in these places, but this kind of onboarding experience right here, I'm sure a lot of parents with small children didn't necessarily sign up for when they enrolled in that virtual queue, and were happy to get it.
Okay. Wow. Look at this, Vash. Look at this. On deck.
It's crazy. It's insane. And it's very loud in there. That's the thing.
I can imagine. This is not a space that was made for loud noises. This was the place that the animals went to get surgical procedures done.
Yes, indeed. And so they apparently there has been an acclimation period with some of those animals backstage. Not all of them are ready to be on show because they're having to acclimate them to the environment that is produced from within this space.
Fascinating. All right, so here we got some more. Here come the characters.
Sure. And then you'll see what it looks like when you're at the back of this thing.
Oh my goodness. There. The sea of humanity. Sounds like my darkest hell.
Yeah. So and it's not even raised too. So if you have little ones right there, how are they even supposed to see what's actually in front of them? If you're in the back right there.
Well, right. And then if you put your kids on your shoulders, an infantilized adult behind you is going to get mad and cry.
Yeah, then you're that guy, right? Like the fireworks.
Yeah. There's the God, and they're involving asparagus. I hate asparagus. All right, so here's the lonely medical area over
Yep.
here.
Yeah,
Probably not being used anymore.
No.
Okay, they do still have the reptiles and stuff.
hmm
There's nobody's over there.
Nobody's over there, and apparently there are Australian animals outside that they're setting up currently with like koalas and other marsupials, obviously from that region, kangaroos and so forth. The problem is like not every one of those is ready, so it's gonna half baked there, and then you have this very caustic experience inside. So again, I as far as leveraging the Bluey brand goes, I just don't think this was optimal.
Probably not. Probably not. And so those of you are probably wondering, though, that was just opening day. Opening days are always like crazy. Well, not all opening days. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what was day 2 like? Bluey's Wild World virtual queue hits capacity in seconds again on day 2. This from www.magic.com. Virtual queue for Bluey's Wild World, the conservation station, filled in approximately 2 seconds again this morning, with 7 a.m. drop reaching capacity almost instantly for the second consecutive day. So they give, these are the tips that they give. Open the My Disney Experience app and navigate to the virtual queue before 7 a.m. Ensure valid admission is linked to your account. Add all members of your party to your friends and family list in advance. Have the join button ready to tap at exactly 7 a.m. If the 7 a.m. drop is gone, be inside Animal Kingdom at 10 a.m. so that you could be disappointed all over again. So there you go, Vash.
A fantastic experience. Yeah, I mean, it's this is so tough, and it's the park that needed it, right? One could say, well, why didn't you put it in another park? This is the one that needed this attraction the most. And
I agree. Like they were like, look, we've got a lot of construction walls up. Everyone's like really frustrated. What if we could find a way to make people even more frustrated and make children cry at the same time?
Bluey Wild Adventure there, or Bluey's Wild World. That's how we do it. The other thing too, Marvin, is people might be asking, okay, well, why didn't they actually place this anywhere else? And to be honest, where would you place something like this? The only thing I can really think of is maybe the Nemo Theater, right? But obviously those puppeteers and everybody else are in contract, and I don't necessarily like the idea of losing a show for another one. So this park needed to add capacity, not replace it. This was really the only venue that you could possibly have for this. And it would have been great if they would have built maybe like a temporary tent or temporary stage set up somewhere. Perhaps maybe add some shade canopies to the area around the old, Rivers of Light area, right? Where they used to have kite tails and so forth. I understand the performers would need an area in which to prepare for that. That's a name I haven't
heard in a long time.
A long, exactly.
Sorry,
I mean, maybe you could do something like that there, but to actually put it back in this venue, I mean, this, it really just underscores how desperately this park requires infrastructure, and having the train be your capacity limitation on this is a really big disappointment, because obviously they can only get so many people back there so regularly, with that train in place being the only way to get back to this location right here. So I just think, yes, it's the park that needed it. Yes, this was the right franchise, but just the wrong spot. I mean, of course this place was going to get overrun if we know anything from the visitor habits that we've actually seen with annual pass holders over there at Disneyland in the Fantasyland Theater.
Yep, absolutely. Guys, we are going to see, if you are planning to try to catch Bluey with your kids, be prepared, because your entire day may go kablooey.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.